YouTube, Rook here from Rook Geek, and it's my little channel on the interweb for all things geeky and cool. And today we have another action figure review we're taking a look at today. This is for the Marvel Legends Darkhawk from the Guardians of the Galaxy wave that came out fairly recently, within the last couple months actually, at least as far as 2017 goes. I'm a big Darkhawk fan, just so everyone would know now. He's a character that was actually debuted back in the 90s for Marvel. It's a character that not a whole lot of people know about. He's more of that B or C tier level hero. Basically, in a nutshell, just so everyone will know, Darkhawk is basically the combination of Spider-Man and Iron Man. That's basically what Darkhawk is. They had a huge run of books back in the late 90s. He ran for about 5 years. He had a total of 50 issues until his book got canceled. Very recently, I would say in the late 2000, I think it may be between 2010 2013, somewhere in that range of time, not sure the exact date. He was part of a big story called The War of Kings, where he actually had a predominant role. They actually brought him back and completely retconned his entire history. Something that, to me, really wasn't a really great idea, but Marvel went and decided to do it anyway. So what we're going to do is just a little history of Darkhawk. We're going to go into a breakdown segment. We're going to look at the packaging. We're going to look at the figure as a whole. We're going to look at the articulation, the paint, and any accessories it may have. And at the end of the video, we're going to conclude with the final thoughts for you, the viewer. Should you actually pick up the Darkhawk figure from the Guardians of the Galaxy wave from Marvel Legends? Stay tuned, guys. We're going to breakdown. Okay guys, we're in our breakdown segment looking at the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Darkhawk figure. This is of course one figure that's used to build what's called the Marvel Titus figure, which we'll talk about him shortly. So let's actually look at the packaging first and foremost. So this is basically what you would see when you pull him off the peg. When I actually picked this figure up, I actually got him at Walgreens of all places. Very surprising, I actually got it at Walgreens on a toy hunt. This was about a month and a half ago when I actually picked him up on a toy hunt. Toys R Us didn't have him at that time, and neither did Walmart. But Walgreens of all places had him, and I'm super happy to pick him up. Of course, this is what you would see when you see him on the actual peg itself. This is a side shot of him here, which is a really cool side shot of Darkhawk. And on the side over here, you have Vance Astro, which basically they share a bio on the back here. You can read the little bio over here. I'll kind of pull back some so you can see it right there. So in the corner right there, or actually zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little better here, so you can read it. So basically, they share. They talk about them a little bit as part of the Masters of the Mind. That's where they share this kind of grouping here, unfortunately. I wish it would have made him have his own little bio, but they didn't, so I wish it really would have. Now, if we look at the bottom here, here's Titus right here. He's this big tiger guy with a gun hand. I don't know anything about Titus. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. He probably looks like a bad guy, so I don't know all of that, anything about him at all. All the figures here at the bottom are used to build the Titus figure here. We have, of course, Drax, we have Yondu, we have Vance Astro, Angela, Darkhawk, Nova, and Star-Lord. Now, Star-Lord over here, you do not need to complete the Titus figure, just so everyone will know. Now, let's bring your attention to Angela here. Now, the thing about this particular figure, which was really sweet, is that the Angela figure here, which was this girl right here, who originally was an actual Image character, part of McFarlane's line with Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman actually created the Angela character. Marvel acquired the rights to her and incorporated her into Thor's mythology, so to speak. I don't know much about her. I think she is an Asgardian in some way. I think she's some type of Asgardian hunter. I'm not about sure what goes on with her. But they actually had a fan vote. That's how this whole Darkhawk thing comes about. They had a fan vote where Angela won the fan vote, but Darkhawk came in a very close second place. He almost beat her. He came, extremely close to winning. So that's why Marvel said, you know what, guys? We're going to actually create this Darkhawk figure and put him in this particular wave, and I'm super happy to do that. So we looked at the packaging. We're going to come back from a cut with bringing Darkhawk out of packaging and look at him, the accessories, the paint, the articulation, and of course the Build-A-Connect figure, which would be Titus's head. Okay guys, we have Darkhawk out of packaging, and first and foremost, he looks amazing. But before we dig into the figure, let's take him out of the shot, and let's actually talk about the Titus head. The accessory, the only accessory he comes with really, is this really cool tiger head. I really wouldn't doubt if the Four Horsemen sculptors got involved in this particular figure, because he looks amazing. It looks like something the Horsemen would have put together, like from the Mythic Legions line. This looks like somebody they would have actually built. So I think they probably had a hand in doing some type of sculpting here, but this looks amazing. I love the way this looks. Great amount of detail, great amount of look here, cool design, cool tooling, great head. You'll need that to actually build the Titus figure. So let's actually bring Darkhawk back in here. Now, as I said before at the beginning of the video, I'm a massive Darkhawk fan. I love the character back in the 90s. Again, he's a combination of, think of it as Spider-Man and Iron Man combined together. It's basically really what he is, if you really think about it. Is a younger kid, has issues, in school, has, girlfriend problems. He has issues, with people around him, and he actually is he actually met up with a lot of popular characters in the Darkhawk books. I mean, he met up with Punisher, he met up with Spider-Man, of course, he met up with Hobgoblin, he met up with Venom. So he's actually touched, a lot of the mainstream characters. So with that being said, I don't want to go into too much detail with Darkhawk, but let's actually dig into the actual figure itself. The face sculpt is dead on the money. This is how he actually looked in the comics, and they transitioned it from the comics into action figure form. This is what Darkhawk looks like. He looks awesome. So if we look at the paint here, it's all kind of like a dark bluish color with the silver trim. We'll come to the wings shortly. I want to save that for last, really, because that's my kind of pet peeve. There's a couple points in here that I have to really nitpick on that I don't think is handled really, really well. Great amount of paint here. No issues with it. Everything was very, very solid. Let's actually look at the articulation. The head itself is on a ball joint. It can spin 360 degrees. The arms themselves can go out to a full T, as you see me doing here, and they can spin at both the bicep and at the shoulder, and it can go 360 as well. It is double jointed at here, so you can almost get a full 90-degree movement here. He does have his cable claw here, which I'll talk about that shortly. He has these wings, which are all one solid piece from the basically from the tricep and from his wrist. So these pieces here do not move. They are attached to the figure itself on both his left arm and right arm. Now, if we go to his chest, he does have the amulet here, which is basically his source of his power. Think of it as Thor's Mjolnir. Basically, Thor gets his power from the hammer. He gets his power from an amulet here. I think this should have been not an orange symbol here. I think it should have been like translucent purple. That's what I think this should have been. I don't like this color, but besides that, it's fine. He does have a rocker in his chest, and this is one of the big issues I want to touch base on, is this here. When I turn it, I don't know if you can see it because the camera's in the way, the wing's in the way here. I'll kind of move it up. So when you turn him sideways, things start getting really, really, really weird. So I'll kind of turn it again here so you can see what I'm talking about. When you turn it here and you look at it head on, again, his wings gets in the way, but it starts looking very, very awkward. I don't know if you can see it from here. The way they cut his waist and his chest when you make this turn, very similar to the Sasha Banks figure I did my review for from WWE, it starts looking very, very awkward. But besides that, if you keep him in a standard pose, something along these lines, and head on, it's fine. Now, if we move his arms out of the way and we start talking about his legs, let's actually go down to his legs. He has a ridiculous amount of articulation from here down. So he has a thigh cut, a thigh swivel actually. He has a double jointed knee. He has a, I guess you would call it a calf rotation or shin rotation. The whole shin spins 360 and the calf itself bends up and down. So you can get him into a ridiculous amount of poses, which I really, really like. I love how much posability this figure does have here. I think it's really, really sweet. Now, I mentioned about some other bad points of the figure. There's two other bad points besides the amulet color, which I can let go. That's not that big of a deal. The other two big points are the cable claw, which is this piece right here, this sculpted claw that you see. Think of it like Wolverine's claw, that he can use it to attack, but it's actually a cable claw because it's actually a grappling hook that he shoots off like Batman. And he can basically shoot it into something, and then he can glide as he retracts it back into this housing here. That's basically what he does. Now, that being said, he doesn't fly. You see these big wings here. He actually glides. He actually opens the wings up as he shoots the claw from building to building or wherever he's going, and he opens the wings up to glide. He doesn't fly, he glides. That's what he does. But in the comics, these wings are all one solid piece. There's no break in the middle here. So I think this is a bit weird how they sculpted this. I understand why they did it the way they did it. It just seems a little peculiar why they went in this particular road. I think they could have maybe did it a little bit differently. Also, this is a very gummy material, the cable claw. You see me just moving up and down, and you can see it bending on camera here. So I think this over time will just wear and tear and just break. I think this should have been maybe a harder piece of plastic. Now, I think why they maybe made it out of this gummy material is maybe, I think, because of safety reasons, I'm guessing. I guess they don't want any kids poking themselves in the eye with it. I would make the assumption. The wings themselves are much harder material. I wish it would have made the claw out of this type of material. This is much harder and stiffer material here. But I mean, you can get them into a ridiculous amount of poses. I absolutely love the amount of articulation this figure has. I think this is a dynamite figure, an absolute buy in my opinion, guys. And with that being said, let's go to final thoughts and wrap up this video. Okay guys, final thoughts on my Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Darkhawk review. I love this figure. Absolutely love it. Are there good points and bad points? Yes, and I'll talk about that in a second. But before I say anything else, this is the figure I've always wanted as a Darkhawk fan. I know there's not a lot of us out there. As you guys know, I like the second and third string heroes. Even people who may watch my videos a lot and all my subscribers know I'm a big Green Lantern fan. And this has sort of a Green Lantern vibe to it, in my opinion. Not as far as his power set goes, mind you, but his amount of popularity. Green Lantern is well known, I mean, more than Darkhawk, but a lot of people put him in, you know, the lower tiered heroes, which is what he is, unfortunately, but I think that's okay. I really do. I personally do. Back in the 90s when I was collecting Darkhawk, when he ran through all his books, they never had an action figure for him. I always wanted an action figure for Darkhawk. Several years ago, they made a 3 3/4 inch figure from, I think it was a Marvel Legends line, or not Legends like this, but the Marvel Universe line, that's what it was. It was a small 3 3/4 inch scale figure. They scaled this up much higher, and I love this figure. Are there good points and bad points? Absolutely, as I talked about in the breakdown. I mean, I love the articulation. I love the way it looks. I love the paint. The bad part, of course, is his waist, where you get him in the weirdly, if you turn him sideways, it will look kind of weird with his waist, where it shifts weird. It doesn't look right. I know it's not mine, it's just when you turn his body, you know, if you're looking head on, if you turn him sideways, you'll see like where his chest would be turned like this. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and as I mentioned in the breakdown segment. The articulation is spot on this figure. The bad points were the wings, how he had these double wings. I think they probably could have sculpted this a little bit better, or did a better representation for this. It seems a bit weird where this has this wrist piece here which is sculpted in, and this one actually locks into his top of his shoulder. But I can really let that go in this situation. It was their very first attempt at doing Darkhawk, and again, he did win the actual fan vote, as I mentioned in the breakdown segment. You know, this figure shouldn't have ever really came out, but because people wanted it badly enough, Marvel said, you know what, we're going to make this figure. I'm very, very happy they did. The only other thing I wish they would have done was made his amulet, this piece right here in his chest, this orange symbol right here, where you get all his power from. I wish they would have made it like a translucent purple. I think that would look really, really awesome. But besides that, I think this is highly a pickup. Absolutely, definitely buy this figure. If you're going to get him for the entire build-away figure, for the Marvel Titus figure, you need him because he does have that headpiece here for the actual completion of the actual collect and connect. So I highly, highly recommend this Darkhawk figure. Remember to like this video, guys. Always click that subscribe button at the bottom of the page here, and you can click Windows over here to watch more of my content. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video, and bye-bye.